Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on the phone with me right now Jimmy Pressley, and he is an author, and he also is an indie film advocate. Hey, Jimmy, how are you doing?
I'm good. You doing all right today?
Yes, I am. I'm doing really good, actually. We just got done, the car wash, and I have Pizza Hut waiting for me to eat a little bit of pizza for lunch. And yeah, but everything's going good so far. I'm really excited. Got my second COVID vaccine and everything. So yeah, everything's going good here so far. My sicknesses are finally over.
Oh, thank God.
I know it was
I know.
it was a pain. Not a problem.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people having issues with sicknesses, whether it be from, the vaccine or just whatever's going around. I've had a cold twice in the last 2 months, and I'm like, I never get sick. And of course, the old COVID thing entered my mind, and it turned out to be just the colds. But
Yeah.
let me tell you, I'm still coughing from one of them. I don't
Yep.
understand. I've got this constant tickle, but
I know the first vaccine I had, I was fine. I just had a really sore arm. The second one, my arm was a lot more sore than the first one, and then I, of course, had all those flu-like symptoms. I didn't have a fever, but I did have. I was very tired. I was so weak that my body, like my legs, felt like they were gonna, like they were crumbling underneath my body weight. Could barely stand, and yeah, I was very tired. Major headache, probably worst headache I've ever had. So it's been crazy. It was a crazy couple of days, but I had a little bit of a headache this morning. I still have a little bit of a headache now, but nothing major. But I'm pretty good now. I mean, I'm pretty. I took these 2 days off of work just to recover, kind of rest and everything like that. So yeah.
I'm glad you feel better.
Yeah.
I think I've got a sympathy headache. I've got a headache today, and I usually don't get headaches either. So,
Oh
yeah, me and you
boy.
can suffer together, I guess.
It sounds that way. So I do know that you have a couple of books out. So what books do you have published, and what are they about, and where can they be purchased?
Yeah, I started. I was always a big fan of like the Lord of the Rings and
Mm-hmm.
Willow and all these just these big fantasy epic movies. So I started out in 2003. I said I'm going to write a book, and we just had my first son, my oldest son, Sean, and it really inspired me
Mm-hmm.
to kind of get a move on and do something I wanted to do and include him in it. So I named the character Sean, and I said I want to set this in a fantasy world. So those are my first book was called The Days of Shadow, The Oracle Chronicles, and it's a fantasy, and two of those are out now. And on the first one, I'll try to be quick, but on the first one, I had a friend of my mother's who was a literary professor at a university in Texas at one point. She felt bad because I really wanted to write, but didn't know how to. Not as good as I wanted to. I was a good storyteller, but not a good writer. So she kind of took over that book, and after I did my first draft, and so I mean, the people that buy it, they can look at it, and it's almost poetic, like Shakespearean compared to the second one. And I've been trying to tone it down. I'm like, dang, I didn't know you were gonna rewrite the book for me, but I'm not complaining. Her name is Carol, and she did a good job. And I just didn't have a market though because I was self-publishing. I didn't know how to reach out to publishing houses.
Yeah.
But it took me, I guess, 17 years to write that.
Oh wow.
Just been busy. I was stuck in my own little dark world, and I had a family, so I had to come out. And when I was functioning right, it was like try to be the family guy. And all of a sudden, I realized I've got a lot going on, and I loved writing. And all of a sudden, I'm like, damn, I love horror, so let's try that because that's what I really wanted to always do is horror movies and horror books. So I wrote a Bloody Halloween a few years ago, and that one seemed to get a lot of attention on Facebook because at that point I'd already started helping with indie horror films and was in a lot of groups. And that one, I'm like, wow, this is good. I was really excited about it because it had this atmosphere. I'm like, I usually don't brag because I know I'm not a good writer. I'll claim that to the day I die. I'm a good storyteller, but not a writer. But I took a chance. I'm like, I reached out to Sandy Johnson, who played Judith Myers in the original Halloween '78, and I said, I've got this book. It's called A Bloody Halloween, and if I'm running too long, tell me.
No, you're good. You're
By
good.
the way,
You're good.
Okay.
You have as much time as you want.
Thanks. I'll try to speed it up because not everybody's going to want to listen to this all day. But yeah, sorry, Sandy. I called her Judith. Oh my God. Sandy Johnson. She was so great because I'd kind of been getting to know her through her fan page, and I'm like, I've got this book. If I send it to you, will you check it out? And I said, it's got to do it. It's about Halloween down the South here and how it was back in 1993. And she's like, you know what? I'll just buy it. You don't have to send it to me. Mm-hmm. And she did, and she got back to me within a few days and talked about how much she loved it. And at the time, I had bought a cameo from her because I was such a big fan, and she's such a good person. Mm-hmm. And she was going to do like a minute tops, and she ended up talking almost 5 minutes about my book and the cameo. And I share that as much as I can. She's just sweet and great. And my friend Troy Elke, who's kind of big in the indie horror world, he loves it, and he's an advocate for the book. And
that's awesome.
There's a script out for it now, and he's like, him and Sandy have both said, you know, if that film ever gets picked up, you got to put us on it. And I'm like, of course, y'all been my biggest advocates.
Awesome.
So I've got the Oracle Chronicles 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. The fantasy series I did. It doesn't get any credit, but I'm going to try to push it and finish the trilogy. And I got Bloody Halloween, and which I love. I'm working on the sequel to that right now, and I just finished another book. It's kind of a thriller drama about 3 kids that are from the same town, and they're all coincidentally from kind of different levels of abusive households, and they're really tight, and they think they can only rely on each other. And it's really explicit and in your face, but I think it'll touch a base, maybe even too much for some people, but it'll be coming out soon. I'm awesome. Editing the first draft right now.
Awesome. So I'm assuming they're available on Amazon?
Yeah, you can get all 3 of my books on Amazon or any online bookstore you can order also. So awesome. It's barnesandnoble.com. It's there. But Amazon's kind of like the home base for the.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the next question I had was any other books in the works. You said you have a sequel to the Bloody Halloween, right?
Yeah. I'm working on it right now.
That's awesome. So, what campaigns in the indie horror industry are you advocating for? Can you tell us some of them and what they're about?
Yeah, I'll try to be quick. I'm not gonna talk like I just did about my books. It's just I don't get a chance to really talk about my books that often.
Right.
But I go off on that. But yeah, I'm helping on a lot of movies. Valentine Bluffs comes to mind. Obviously 72, which you're familiar with. Obviously, the Hack Witch. And a friend of mine, Michael, and his friend Jared, they had started a film together, or this idea of a film. It was called Halloween, Evil Lives. And I'm really trying to get them started because the campaign is just going real slow for that one. Mm-hmm. So I'm really trying to push that too. I mean, there's just so many, and there's probably some I've left out, but it never stops.
Right. Exactly, and there's so many people that need the help, and there's only so many indie the people in the indie filmmaking community can they can only do so much. I mean, it's not like everybody's rich that they can donate to every single campaign out there. So.
That's exactly right. That's what I was when I first started. Me and my friend Rob and Noelle Berger came on. Eventually, we were kind of this trio, and we realized that obviously we learned through a team for 13 Fanboy and some other things that it's not always about the money. Some have it, some don't, but just to share and reach out and tell people about it is so important. And we've all kind of gone off on our own, but we 3 just still, that's what we love is the indie horror world. I know you've had Noelle on, right? I think, but she made a name for herself in there real quick, and I've got people reaching out to me all the time from all over the world. I'm just like, all I do is share and reach out, and they're like, that's all it takes, man. I'm like, of course, that's my own motto there.
Right, and I always tell people, like, if you don't have a cent to give to these Indiegogo funding campaigns, if you can't give a cent to our 72 campaign, it's okay. Your share can, which costs nothing to you, can get us 5 other people to donate. You know what I mean? That could possibly be more than anything you may have been able to contribute. So sharing
Exactly.
is free, and it markets to all of your contacts and all of your friends, and it gives us free publicity. And it takes a second. You don't have to write a novel on what the campaign is about. It's all in the campaign itself. All you got to do is click share. It takes a second to do.
Yes, that's exactly what I say when I reach out. I'm like, if you can't contribute, if you could share this,
Yeah.
I'd love it. Just click that link, and there's a synopsis. There's a
Indiegogo campaign.
yeah. Well, like me, I know you for one, but I've seen posts. I seem to know, like, my friends list is a kind of a good hodgepodge of indie horror people, and plus I run the World of Indie Horror page, and someone had just shared it, and the Indiegogo picture at the time that showed up on the link caught my eye, literally. So, okay, that was a bad pun, but yeah, I checked it out, and it grew on me quick. I liked the story, and I thought, this is something different. I haven't worked on a film that has to do. Can I say? I mean, basically, it's no more than the synopsis says.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can I mention that there's a virus?
Yeah, you can mention whatever's like in the synopsis of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the keyword, virus.
Yeah.
And an outbreak kind of thing. That caught my eye. So, yeah, I mean, I've promoted a few others that had to do with a virus on some level, like Z-Dead-N, but this one, I don't know. I just like the idea and where the characters are going to go and where they end up. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this one. I cannot wait to see it.
Yeah, I read the script. Now the script is in its 5th rewrite because we're obviously like rewriting in the Indiegogo perks and everything like that. And I didn't read the finalized version of the script per se, but I read like the gist of it basically. Like I read up everything that we have to offer about it, and it's freaking good. Like it is a quote unquote mind fuck of a movie. I'm not even joking. It is a terribly really well but terrible type of mind fuck. Like it's gonna mess with people's minds. It's really good. Like it's something that a lot of people like to see. Those type, it's not one of those mind fucks where where it's like where you're so confused and you don't know the whole story until you get to the end type of thing. It's more of a like mind fuck, like holy shit, did that just happen, what the hell is happening here type of situation. Like it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, I love that. This is, I don't think I've given it the attention it needs, and I've been trying to. As my good friend Rob says, sometimes I fill my plate too full, and it's like, God. But this one really, I mean, I think every film I'm on right now it's the first time where I've actually really genuinely been passionate about every film I'm on. Actually, the last 3 months. I mean, there's some good ones. But 72, wow. Yeah, I love, and I don't even know the script like you, so it's just. I'm already like sold. I'm sold. Right. So,
and it's funny because you're not the first person that I interviewed to say about the Indiegogo campaign, about the picture of the like eye that has the bloodshot eye and everything, like catching their interest. Like that is a really good like logo for this movie. That not only like I'm gonna be honest, this picture isn't from the movie at all because obviously we haven't started principal photography, we haven't started the filming of it. But it's what the film is based around, and it literally shows you what the movie is gonna be about, and that's what draws people's eye. On top of what the picture is, and then the title 72 and what it's about, it all mixes and meshes well together. That it literally will draw people in.
I believe that. It reminds you can't always judge a book by its cover,
right?
And that's how a lot of these Indiegogos go for me. I'm like, if I see a picture, that's what catches my eyes because a lot of the times people, when they advertise it, I can't go through my page or Noelle's page and click every single campaign. But it reminds me of being a kid. I think I'm a little older than you, but you still remember like the video stores, right?
Yes, when I was younger, that's how I got into it. I went to Black Diamond in Ashland, and I would rent like all these VHS tapes of Friday the 13th and Halloween, like back when VHS tapes were even relevant.
Right, exactly. It was like that's what this Indiegogo thing's for me.
Yeah,
is like. it's the picture on the shelf that sells it, and
Yep.
that picture grabbed me, of course. And then I talked to you and a few other people that are kind of helping a little bit, and it's just like, it sold me. The picture really does sell. So
Yeah,
you know,
and I will do a quick plug. Like, if people are listening to this, definitely look up the Indiegogo for 72. It's all over Facebook. Like, definitely look it up and help donate. We're almost at $3,000. We're like $26 away from $3,000. So definitely help us get over the $3,000 mark right now. That would be so cool. So, and I mean, we have some amazing perks available. Like, we really do. We sold out of a couple of them, obviously, but we have some good ones left, and we may come up with some other ones that we're gonna put in. We don't know yet. We're still brainstorming ideas and props and all that stuff that we might want to auction off, but we're not sure yet. But yeah, I mean, definitely check that out. But going from 72 down to a depressing type of category, we all know that debacle that happened with Michael Darkone and his scam Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign that was known as Once Upon a Nightmare. So, is there anything that you would like to tell the viewing and listening audience on why one bad egg shouldn't prevent people from donating and supporting other indie horror filmmakers? Because we know that you personally had money invested into this campaign and you were one of their biggest advocates. So why should they not let one bad egg, ruin it for all the other indie filmmakers that are actually legit?
yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, it really, what you said speaks for itself. It's one bad egg, and I've done my research now, and I kind of know, and I knew when I went into that film that you should check out people. They should be, and make sure they're legit, and make sure they have a real passion. So I get to know people before, and that's just my own caution. I try to figure this stuff out, but it really is just one bad egg. He was very manipulative, and I kind of I saw some red flags, and I started questioning it because he kept saying, I'll just do this special secret perk. He kept saying, I'll do secret perk for this, secret perk for that, and I literally, we just got I don't want to get too personal. We got some tax money in, not much, but yeah, I really invested into that movie, and I felt so good for it. He was so manipulative and so good that this movie, it sounded like it was going to be great. But yeah, once he was exposed, and I had found out that he had done this before, that's what really shocked me. But it turns out really that this is only the second time that I've ever heard of this happening in my 5 years of trying to help films. And let me tell you, it's been the hundreds. It really is one bad egg, folks. So if anybody's listening, if you have a question, if someone's promoting it, reach out to them, ask them, or reach out to the director themselves, anybody. I mean, just ask, find out, do some research.
Yeah.
But really, it's not, I don't think it's too common a thing. I don't think people need to worry about that. If you love the idea of a movie, support it,
Absolutely. And like, you can, if you do need help, you can ask the likes of like a Noelle Berger or Matthew Anderson, Matthew Burns, myself, Jimmy Pressley, ask anybody that you can possibly ask, Troy Elke, Greg Gilbert, anybody that would know, about that might have, an idea about it. And if they don't know about them, then they can send you to the right people that might know. Because I personally knew Michael Darkone. Now, I wasn't like besties with him or anything, but I was friends with him, and I knew him before the whole campaign even started. And I knew about his plagiarism in the past. I knew about it. Now, I wasn't going to use that against him for this campaign because I didn't know. Maybe he was on the up and up for this campaign. I didn't know. But then when it started going down to the whole Kane Hodder, being a scene with Kane Hodder, all that stuff, that struck me as odd. And the same with the Christine Carr. Those struck me as odd. And especially the Kane Hodder one, because I was in talks with Kane Hodder's agent about getting a couple of people she represents, including Michael Berryman. And I reached out and asked if Kane Hodder would want to be on and want to promote Once Upon a Nightmare as well. And she responded back, Kane's really busy to do interviews right now. He won't be able to. But regarding Once Upon a Nightmare, he's not involved in that campaign. I don't know where you got your information on that from. And I'm like, and I told her, and then she's like, she didn't really respond back. She's like, I guess maybe she was confused or looking into it. I don't know. But then I got the plagiarism site on Michael Darkone's plagiarism for his self-published work, and I sent it to Carl Miller, and Carl then sent it to Amanda Sawyer, who then sent it to Noelle Berger, and from there it just blossomed out and he got exposed, and eventually it got back to the likes of like Tamara Glynn, who was promoted in there, and other people, and it's crazy. Like Michael Taylor, Noelle's boyfriend, reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, I will cross out your name and your picture, but would it be okay if I use your likeness and like your messages that you sent to me about what happened with this Michael Darkone guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely, I don't mind at all. Like, I mean, I don't want my friends and my colleagues to be getting tricked by somebody. Like, I don't care if I was friends with Michael Darkone. Like, I will not support somebody that's going to rip somebody off and try to get away pulling a fast one and bring in thousands of dollars. Like, that's just not
Exactly
right.
right.
That's just not right. Like, yeah.
It was thousands too. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
It
you're
just
fine.
blows
Like,
my mind.
no, you're fine. I'm just saying, like, I mean, yeah, it was thousands of dollars. It wasn't like a couple $100 that he had a refund. Like, he was literally pulling like Grand Theft Indiegogo or Grand Theft crowdfunding.
He was, and what shocked me is that, well, two things. One, the red flags, and you always trust your gut, and I had red flags coming out left and right.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like, well, maybe this guy's just that good.
Yeah.
Trust your gut, because the gut is usually right. And
Mm-hmm.
and the horror community, as you mentioned, boy, you know who the good people are. That's
Mm-hmm.
most of us, because you saw how everybody came together,
Yep.
and we were pushing to get the money back and
Yeah.
to get this guy put down, so to speak. I mean, at least
Yep.
the campaign, it was terrible. But yeah,
Yeah.
one bad egg, he
Yeah.
ain't gonna spoil this bunch.
Exactly, and I mean, yeah, like, I mean, yeah, we are like a family. Like, most of us may have never even met in real life, and some of us may have, but we're all still family. And once you ruin your reputation like that, like he has, you can get it back, but it's going to be very hard to get that back, and the trust is going to be very hard, if at all, to be honest with you, because he really pulled a woo over everybody's eyes, like getting all these big names, Doug Bradley, Kane Hodder. I mean, I know he had Tuesday Night involved because he asked me to be involved, and he's like, oh, he said we could film in Pennsylvania, or if you're not able to get back to Pennsylvania, we could film in Maryland. I'm like, okay, count me in. And the next thing you know, I found out we're filming in frickin' California. And the next thing you know is I was told I have to create a flight to go out to L.A. for a photo shoot. I'm like, when did this happen? I'm not going to L.A. I have a job. I was told I could film in Maryland.
I know. How did he come? He must have a lot of free time on his hands, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not judging, but he changed so much. Like you said, it was just like, it was like he created this world to make this happen, just to get all that money. And I'm just thinking, where did he think he was going to go with all that?
Right.
Like, someone wouldn't figure it out once he ran. Right. Someone would find him, and
yeah, and the thing is, like, and he ended up like he asked me to be in his movie. I'm like, sure, why not? I get to film locally, and then like I said, like it's like it turned into North Carolina first or whatever, then California or whatever, and it's like, wow, really? And then like on top of me being in the movie, he's begging me every day to donate to like perks, and it's like, if I'm in your movie, why are you asking me to donate? I mean, I tag and I send messages of our Indiegogo to our cast, but I'm not asking them to donate because they're taking time out to be in the movie. I'm asking them just to share the campaign to their friends because they're in the movie. They should want this movie to be made. And they're more. I'm not going to ask my cast and crew to freaking donate to my campaign because they're already involved with the campaign. Why would they? I mean, if they want to donate, that's fine. That's up to them. I'm not going to ask them, hey, can you donate, $50 to get this perk because I think you really like. No, like if they want to donate, that's up to them. But I mean, I would rather than just share it if anything because it gets the word out even more. But I mean, yeah, there was so many red flags with him. Like, and the more perks he was coming up with, it was like, this is too good to be true. And one thing my dad always told me is, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. It probably is because like there's like how like I mean, first of all, I even heard that Kane Hodder doesn't even like to be advertised on Indiegogo campaigns because it ruins his image if the campaigns fall apart.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like that. It's.
I mean, I've noticed a lot of bigger known celebrities that get involved in these. They stay kind of low until things start going really good, and I don't blame them because they do have that image and that career that they want to keep intact. But
right, and
this was crazy.
Yeah, and no offense to like people that aren't big and don't have that image or whatever of like superstardom. Like it's one thing promoting the lower people, and I'm gonna even include myself on that list because I am lower on the totem pole. So like people like me and like you and even like Noelle, like it's okay to promote us because we don't have that image to lose if the campaign falls apart because we know they're not gonna be involved. Is more of a personal one on his behalf, which is what's your favorite horror movie and which horror movie started your amazing journey into being a horror fan?
Oh man. Well, let me. You know me, I'm rambling, but yeah, let me tell you the story. When I was a little kid, I just accidentally happened to wander into my parents' living room, and Friday the 13th, 1980, the original was on, and it was on. I don't remember what it was on, but I remember it pretty much showed all the graphics, the violence, and everything. And I thought, oh, my God, this is scary. And that night, I ended up sleeping with my parents. And I guess I was about 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And I remember for the next 2 years, I would sleep in my floor. And I'm not scared to admit this. My bed was always clean underneath. I would sleep in the floor and facing under my bed to make sure that Betsy Palmer, Mrs. Voorhees, wasn't under my bed. Because it was that scary for me. And as I grew older, my stepdad, he knew I was into films because I was always wanting to rent them.
Right.
They were always horror, and he's like, well, okay, your mom's going to kill me for this, but okay. And he got a camcorder. Mm-hmm. This was the late 80s, and, big $5,000 camera set on your shoulder. And I said, can I make movies with that? And he said, yeah. And so that literally, I spent all my teen years making my own horror movies. I just love the idea of how to do a scare, how you edit a scene, how you do practical effects. And, I ended up in my late teens applying to go to University of Tennessee. They didn't have a film course, but I was like, I'll do this first and see what life throws me. And then they didn't accept me because of my ACT score. I was 1 point below what they wanted. So I applied to NYU, New York University, and they didn't even question me. I was accepted to go to their film school there, and I'd been going through a rough time, but I said I'm going to start new. I'm going to go to New York City, and they let me start. I was going to be a month late. I think it was almost a month late, and I picked up a dorm and everything. And some people know this story, but the dorm overlooked the Twin Towers of the Trade Center, the World Trade Center, and lo and behold, and this is not a story about me, but 9/11 happened, and I always thought if I hadn't just come and stayed home, like I ran from film school because of the terror attacks, and it never got to happen. But my love has been there since I was a child, and my favorite two are Night of the Demons and Friday the 13th, like I mentioned. And I'm talking, they scared me as a kid, and that's what I wanted to do to people, like make them scared, but also know how to do it all. I wanted to do effects and just everything. I just love the idea of being able to create something that'll evoke some kind of emotion from somebody.
Right.
And that's what it was. Nice. So it took me 20 years because it's been 20 years since 9/11, and I guess it was about 5 years ago. On Facebook, I promoted a few movies, but then I became friends with Deborah Voorhees personally, and she's like, "Well, I've got this movie I want to do," and everybody, the rest is history. 13 Fanboy came out, and Indiegogo and GoFundMe and all this stuff got really big and popular, just exploded. Yeah. And now everybody's doing it. And I have stuck with every movie I've ever been asked to come on, with every movie I've crawled upon. Like, I just want to help you all. This is kind of like me, my second chance in life.
Absolutely.
Getting to live in the film world. But you know what? I forget Hollywood and all that stuff. Forget the fact that I didn't go to film school. It doesn't matter to me. What's important is that I'm still involved in helping people create their dreams. So anyway, That's a long story, but my favorite horror movie turned into all that. But it's just me, and that's why I'm at where I'm at. And, thank you, Victor Miller, for a great story.
Yep, absolutely. It's funny because I have a story I have to tell you now. So I remember I was maybe 7 or 8ish, something like that, maybe 10 or in that area. But I was
Yeah.
watching. I was at home with my parents. My parents were in like the living room or whatever, doing whatever, and I was in the. I mean, they were in the like the front room or whatever. I don't know what they were doing, but I was in the living room and I was watching TV. It was a thunderstorm. It was raining. It was dark out. Whatever. And I was watching TV, and it was a Friday the 13th, and Friday the 13th was on TV. It was a marathon, obviously, because it's Friday the 13th that day. So I think it was either part four or part six. I want to say it was part four because it was raining out. And it wasn't like one through three, and it wasn't five, and it wasn't eight. It might have been. It's either four, five, four, six, or seven, but I'm pretty sure it was four. But anyways, Jason Voorhees was gonna remove the electrical box or whatever on the cabin or whatever, or the house, and the power went out, and exactly at the same time he did that, our power went out. And I freaked out, and I'm like, I ran into the other room, Daddy, Daddy, Mommy, Mommy, help me, Jason's coming to get me. He's like, what are you talking about, Jason's coming to get you? I'm like, yeah, he turned the power off, and our power went off. He's like, that's what happens when you watch horror movies.
Yes, I love that.
But what a coincidence. Friday the 13th on our time, and it's a thunderstorm, raining, whatever, and that's the same thing that happened there. And I don't know if like a transformer blew or if there was an accident. I don't know. I didn't hear any transformer blowing, and if I did, I don't remember it. But it was, oh my God, it was it was terrifying. Like, it was such a coincidence. Like, right exactly when he removed that electrical box, our power went out. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, so I told that story to a couple of people on this, but yeah, it's something else. So
I love that.
yeah, so the last question I got for you is there anything else that you would like to add before we say farewell?
Nah, just the campaigns we mentioned, just check them out, and they're legit. It's not the one bad egg. These people have a passion, and that's what got me involved. So I mean, if you have a passion, you want to be a part of horror history, go for it. I mean, if you cannot contribute, that's totally understandable in this day and age. Just share.
Absolutely.
Share away. Reach out to people you know, and just do that. And check out my books if you want.
Yeah.
Like I said, the start of the show, man, I'm not Shakespeare, but I can tell a good story, and there's more coming. And I appreciate the opportunity to be on this show, by the way, for that, to kind of get the word out about all that stuff.
Awesome, not a problem. I truly thank you for coming on, and I'll get on to Greg Gilbert and be like, you better figure out how to get that audio working so you can get Jimmy Pressley on Python's Paradise.
Perfect, I love it.
All right, well, I thank you, Jimmy. You have a good rest of your day.
Thank you,
All right,
I appreciate it so much.
Not a problem. Have a good one. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Bye-bye.